Oh, shoot, what did I do with this? Oh, that's funny. I can't see. Okay, so I gotta figure out all this wiring. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. Zip, 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 zip. Oh, crap. Yeah, it's still not easy for me to get up and down in there. Actually, I should probably use a screwdriver on that. How does that work? Okay. We got this. We got this. All right. I have to explain something first. Okay, kids. I gotta get all this stuff off of here. Okay, so the one thing people don't understand, all right, I keep getting this told to me several times, over and over again. Okay, so here's the situation. I cannot and will not change the track. Okay, so I have to explain this again because I've said it like 50 times before, and I'll say it again. Let's say write it down. I think maybe I should do that. Okay, Clintonville. This is aimed at you. I love you, guy. I love you. But you must not pay attention to what I'm telling you. Number one issue is I cannot remove this track and put Kato track on it. I know you love Kato. I know a lot of people love Kato. I've been told this. Get rid of it. But here's the problem. I bought some Kato track. I bought a bunch of it. I got $200 worth of stuff. I put it on here to see if it would work. The curvature of the corners will not fit. I would have to cut. That hole would have to be over here. My tonals would not match. Number two, half of this is underneath this set of hills. I have a ton of track under there for me to rip up. Would not make sense. It would cost me a fortune to get rid of it. That's number two. Number three, I have 3 sets of cars that will not work on that track because of the curves. Now, when I built this track 20 some odd years ago, I designed the track to accommodate the bullet train that Kato has. All right. Kato has a bullet train that I have. And the problem is it needs a wide berth. In other words, the curves have got to be maximum, not minimum. If I didn't have the bullet train, I could have probably done a Kato, but the Kato wasn't around in 2000 or whatever it was I built this, all right? So that's, forget it. The fourth or the third one or fourth one or whatever, the electricity to it. The switches, I'd have to remove the switches I got here, and they've had these weird looking things sticking out. I don't want that. I would toss it in the trash and start from scratch, but the electricity will not work on this. I'd have to get a whole different controller for that. In other words, my $500 controller is worth crap. And I'm not going to go out and buy another $500 dual controller. It took me years to get that controller. There's not a thing wrong with it. Why would I toss it? So you must have all the money in the world, because I don't. I've accumulated all this stuff over like 30 some odd years. My mother-in-law bought it me first. The first train I got from her was 1980s, the late 1980s, like 90s or something, before I moved out here from California. Moved out here in 86. And so the first place I went was Germany with them, because she's from there. That's where I got that's where I got the crocodile and all the stuff with it. That's how long ago. And I never had the track yet, never had all this stuff. Over the years, I've been collecting this stuff just now, this last year or so, because I've been down with my hip. I've been able to build half the models that are on here already. I've been able to accumulate all this stuff. But the point is, I can't change this for what it is. If I have to change anything, it'll be the switches. And the switches, if I get to the point where I still have problems with the switches, I'll just replace them with manuals, because I've seen your manuals. They don't have a lot of the high stuff in it. That's been a big problem with a lot of my stuff. Big Boy's a good example. Big Boy runs over this stuff sometimes, and he gets this stuff right here, and it gets stuck because. Okay, so now this is where I'm going to study what you buy if you're doing N-Gage, study what you buy before you buy it. Because here's the problem. I'll show you just in case I show you. I know all these guys, they love steamers. Everybody loves steamers. Okay, so do I. But the steamers in the front have a fairing. Or is what I want to call it, fairing. Now, if you look at the fairing, all right, look at it. Okay, that fairing's as low as that wheel is in the front. Okay, that wheel, I'm missing one, is a guide. That guide is what goes over the track. All right, it goes over the track. So what happens to it when it comes to this? Because that fairing's low, it hits this part. So, number one, I tell you, don't have switches. If you're going to run cars like that, make sure it's just a loop with no switches. Simple, right? I got that up here. So, all my steamers will be up there. Big Boy, and it has an issue in the front, same reason. And I can't jack it up. All right. So if I had to tell people about the Big Boy, don't buy it. It's not worth it, because you have too many issues with it. If it's an N-Gage, all right. I don't know about HO, but I'm just saying N-Gage. I love Big Boy. That's one of my prized possessions. But again, it's like the crocodile. It's probably going to end up being a showpiece. This one here, I can use up here, so I'm not worried about that. That's a separate track, and I have ideas for that. But, and I know Clintonville, you've been on my case about this for a long time. I can tell you this right now, flat out. I'm not changing the track. It's not worth it. If it comes to show, I know what my problems is. I'm too busy working on 15 Ways of Sunday. It's the wiring. I got to redo everything. That's what I'm doing now. I'm putting new blocks in for all the stuff. It's going to take me a while. I had to come on to tell you guys that, because I've been hitting that like that. Now, there's another guy on there that says there's a guy that can work on some trains. Well, that'd be great, because I'm missing a wheel on this one. I have no idea where it went. I've looked for it and looked for it in here. I can't find it. It's missing one on this side, the guide. These are great trains. But again, they're sensitive because they're the way these things run, they're low. It's hard to explain. And I've been in the train world a lot longer than I've had this track. So, I've built several layouts, so I know what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you look at the fairing on that, Last thing I want to do is drop it. You see how low that fairing is, right? It's riding on top of the track, basically. And there's a thing in the middle. If there's any imperfection whatsoever, it won't work. And it's hard for me to explain it to people. For some reason, they're just not getting it or what. And I love these little trains. I mean, but again, my track gets up on top of the hill. That's where it's going, right up here. So the idea is to take that track and extend it all the way over here somewhere. Okay, the second thing, or the other thing I wanted to say is if it gets to the point, and I keep having issues with the switches, that's switch will come out. I'll take this track out. Let's see. Yeah, that switch will come out. No, wait a minute. That'll stand because I really don't have a problem with that. The other switch, in other words, I could eliminate this switch and this switch. So I can eliminate 1, 2, and then one in the back. There's a second track that runs in the back there. I can get rid of that. Then it just making a dead end back into where the wood is. Simple. Right? And it won't cost me anything other than, maybe I sell the stuff online because I don't, Personally, if worse comes to worse, that's the way I'm doing it. I'm not going to go out and buy $1,000 worth of Kato stuff because it's not worth it. So, yeah, right now, I just finished that. So I've got another one I'm building out there. I got another 3. I got all these buildings I'm building. Okay, so I've got to do some painting and some, but I wanted to show you something. Okay, so now this is just a regular building, right? It's just, and I didn't make anything fancy out of it. But here's the thing. I got to looking at this, and this whole building was one piece. So what I did, I didn't like that idea. I got to stewing on it. Okay, so I put, these are my business cards for my lasers. I have my X tool makes my business cards out of this wood. So what I did is I make dividers. Now there's a reason for it. And I'm not picky. I gotta take that off. I still have tape on it. Ooh. Okay, so anyway. Okay, so the idea here was I'm going to put lights, different lights in here, different colored lights. But then I got the second thought. I thought, see, it's 2-story, right? So if I put a light in here, it lights up 2 stories, right? Why not have it half and half? Like maybe have 1 or 2 of these have a floor in it. So when you turn the light on, the top won't show, but the bottom will. So, and then I thought, this one here might be kind of cool. It's like a small Ace Hardware store. They get an Ace Hardware sticker on there or something. That'd be kind of cool. I don't know how I'd do it. I'd have to ask the Ace guys, but if I could find an Ace sticker, that would be kind of cool. But that was my idea. Okay, so with this, I could, and this is where I say people need to take their imagination and pop it. Just pop it. Just say, okay, do this, this, and this. Now, that's the same thing with this other one. Okay, so this, I made it so, and I'm not gluing the top roofs on a lot of these. Some you have to, but okay, so this one, same thing. Okay, so I didn't glue this either. Okay, there's the reason why. Okay, so this is supposed to be, I believe, a hardware store. All right, I gotta touch this up a little bit more. There's a sticker that goes on here and stuff. But I want to do this where, okay, so now inside, this is where I'm going to take some of that wood I was showing you, put it inside here, glue it, drill a hole in the middle for a light. But here's the other thing. I'm going to have people in there. So I've got some people, and I'm going to glue some people in there. What I'd like to do is have a layout like of hardware stuff on here, but I don't know if I can. My hands are so big, I don't know if that would work. Well, that's the plan. So And the fun is, I like doing this stuff. It's fun. It's building models, but you also get to be creative, not just on the hillside back behind me. It's all also doing this. So that's that. Now the fire station, the fire station was it was like a simple thing. It was really easy to build. And I kind of liked the idea. Um, but what I was thinking, okay, so I think these doors come open. I don't know. Anyway, they were supposed to come open. Maybe not. Forget it. Anyway, what I was going to do is put a red light in here. So I was thinking about painting this, getting it kind of a red brick. And there was a way I was just kind of rusticating. Oh, yeah, here's the other thing. Now, I'm a Forest Service geek, right? I was going to put Angeles National Forest and station, whatever. But it's so small, I don't think anybody could read it. So, I'd like to get a miniature version of the Forest Service sticker. That would be kind of fun. I'm kind of replicating some of my old stuff in the past. Now, the other thing is too, I got this furniture manufacturing over here. So this furniture manufacturing here, that's the reason I have this extra one. I was going to put it here, but the problem with doing it with this line is the opening in here is not as big as I want it to be. Plus everything that goes into the roundhouse has to go through it, and I didn't think that was a wise idea. So then you got a little like boarding stables in there. You got a guest house. You got a house being built or torn apart, I should say. I've got junk that goes on there. I haven't put it on because that's the last thing I had to do. Then I've got this other sawmill here. I've got 3 sawmills, by the way, so I don't know. I might get rid of one, maybe 2. Don't know. The sawmill that I have is back there. So then I got a footbridge that I'm putting together. That's upstairs, actually. This one I think I'm going to put over here. So I don't know yet. That's one. And then let me get that one. I don't know what that is. Anyway, I've got several buildings I'm working on. The other thing is a grain elevator. I got a grain elevator over here. That one sinks in the ground. I don't know if I have it all here, but the problem is that it's not all together. I have to figure out how I put that thing back in the ground, because if I have to cut, I might put it further down the line and put it in a corner somewhere, because there's a bunch of stuff that goes with it. And I've got a ton of this stuff that I'm doing. Right now, I'm in the middle of trying to do the wiring part on this. And it's becoming a pain. But I've got a whole spool of wire. So my connectors. So what I was going to talk about though was, okay, so I'm an N-gauge guy. I love it. I have no doubt that I'll have this working. All right, the switches, I don't know. Every once in a while, I have a problem with one works, doesn't work. There's a certain speed to you want to run these at. Not all the cars like being on the big problem I have is the old cars had different couplers than the new cars. So changing all the trucks and everything gets to be a pain. I've got about a third of the way with my cars. I just haven't done it with the passenger cars. But I don't know. Sometimes they come off the track, sometimes they don't. And that's okay because if it's doing it every so often, I don't care. Um, so the track issues, I have no doubt I'll figure it out. It's just the Atlas switches are crap. Now, I can't stand behind Atlas switches. I can stand behind everything else that's Atlas, but I'm not happy with Atlas switches. So what I'm going to say is hang on a second. Hang on a second. Okay, so now I had to get my windmill going. It was stuck. It does get hang up sometimes. Okay, so what I was going to say, there was a guy out there who was talking model railroad stuff, and I had no problem with that. You know, we were talking about stuff, and I'd like to do a seminar on model railroading, specifically featuring N-gauge, the pros and cons of N-gauge. Let's just say, had I known that I was going to have an issue with the N-gauge track, I would not have done it. That's flat out not have done it. Because, or I'd take it back. I would do it, but not put the switches in. When I planned this track, I planned it on, I didn't have this problem. I actually didn't start having the problem until after I started building all this stuff. And then it was running fine up until a couple of months or before Christmas. And it was running fine after I got out of my surgery stuff when I was down here. But all of a sudden, within the last 2 months, 3 months, it's like, I don't know whether it's electrical or what. But anyway, that's the pros and cons about N gauges. One, the big one is nobody works on any gauge. Nobody. I can't find anybody. A lot of you guys have sent me stuff. They don't work on it anymore. Nobody works. Nobody knows anything. The one guy that I thought I could rely on poo-pooed me, so I'm not going to even try about going there. You know, I'm not going there. He says, how much is it worth to you? Apparently, he does have somebody to work on him, but it will cost me more than the product that I need fixed that's worth. No, forget it. Which sometimes I think he's full of it because, I mean, at least give me the number and let me deal with him by myself. I couldn't do that. That's why I was so frustrated last week or the week before last, because it was just an honest answer. Evidently, he doesn't work that way. He works to the point where you gotta do it online. You can't do it in person. So I think I pretty much am the only guy that goes in there as in foot traffic, because where he's at, there is no foot traffic. So anyway, enough barking about that. So I've done it over with. Will I stop? The other thing is that, will I buy something from him? I don't know. If he's got something, I'll buy it, but I'm not going to go into the store, or I'll buy it online. I doubt very seriously if I do it online, he knows who I am. So, and I don't know anybody that doesn't think. Well, I've heard people complain about it. Okay, so his customer relations suck. I'll just say it sucks. Anyway, as I was making this thing, I was thinking about all the stuff I wanted to put on it. And sometimes I get a little carried away with putting stuff on. Now, I forgot that I was going to have this set up like a forestry thing. I just came up with some crazy ideas. It's fire season, got me going. And all my planes. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. I got the plane looking like it's taking off. Okay, so it's just a piece of wire hooked up to the bridge, but I thought about taking this and then doing it across here. No, I can hang it from the ceiling, but I don't want to do that. I want to make it look like it's taking off, right? And it is a little bit closer. It should be about here like that. and I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. Now, there was a guy that had a groove in here in his, and he had it wired up, and it would take off, but it went into another room and came out the other side. It was pretty cool. But it was it was like an old gauge. So I thought about that, and I don't know. I'm fine with it. I got to do a little bit more painting on there. And then the other thing is I got a tank that I can use for a retardant mixer. But the next thing I got to make for this airport is a control tower. I'm trying to emulate Fox Airfield, believe it or not, where I used to work. The Angeles, I love. Okay, so I didn't work in the Angeles that long. I was there for a while, and it was fun while it lasted. But I got married and moved on. So, and I do. Part of me, I'm the firefighter. Okay, so I'm still a firefighter. Always am. Always was. Always will be. So, all my stuff is oriented to all firefighters in the country and around the world. So, I'm trying to make it kind of like a dedication to these guys, and I want to explain it in my how things are in my layout, because I don't think a lot of people appreciate what these wildland firefighters go through. We got a ton of fires right now, and all over the country and in the world. Turkey knows they lost a whole bunch of people here just recently at their fires in Turkey, and in Spain and in France. The global planet is getting hotter, and drier. Emergency workers, this is kind of for emergency workers. I mean, I can't help it. I have to, the Angeles has always been nice to me, and it's home. I mean, that's kind of back where I grew up. Church camp, forestry, my forestry school, my college, I went through there to go do a lot of hiking excursions, both in geology and forestry. God, I wish I could remember my professor's name. But it was a blast, and still to this day. When I lived in Sunland, after I moved from Lancaster, there was a trail up there, Big Tonga Canyon, great trail. There's a lot of stuff up there. Wrightwood, I always used to go to Wrightwood a lot. I love Wrightwood. It's great up there. It's quiet. There's a ski resort up there. They do have night skiing. I tried to do the night skiing thing on here, but I can't find the right equipment for it. So I find myself baking a lot of it. That's the downfall of N-Gage. Okay, so N-Gage doesn't make a lot of the stuff that HO and O-Gage has. It used to be that way. But I think the micro trains have kind of dropped off. Now, the only thing I laugh at, though, I see more Z-Gage stuff out there than I ever did. So if they say that people are losing interest in N-Gage, why is Z-Gage making a comeback? And I remember it being Z-Gage when it first came out, and people looked at it and laughed because it was only for the executive with a briefcase. All I saw was the stuff that was in a briefcase. So, anyway. And by the way, the only reason I'm not running this track is because the two monsters wiped out my, the two Jurassic Park animals wiped out my engine it's on. Oh, and I did do this. Okay, so last night I went to my neighbor's house, and we were talking about movies and stuff, myself and my friend Greg. And Greg, we were going through, and I go, it'd be kind of a cool idea. I was talking about this one movie. It was made in 1953. It was War of the Worlds. If anybody of you guys have ever seen this, you know what I'm talking about. The spaceship that they made, I was trying to figure out how they made it. Because I should have been in animatronics or something for Disney. I would have made a lot of money. Anyway, I love the animatronics part. And what I'm thinking, hey, I can do the same thing, but for this. So think about this. You see the two dinosaurs over there fighting each other, right? Okay, so what would happen if I had a third thing? I had the ray beam. I had the spaceship right here hanging from the ceiling with a ray beam coming at him. I can make a ray beam somehow. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? So I've got these weird ideas, and I don't know. Is it about running trains? Well, yeah, but you and the other thing is too. Okay, I was going to take a train, a car, and paint it for the firefighters. It was going to be a fire train, a firefighting train, and I thought I saw one in Engage. Maybe it was HO, but I was going to get one and put it on here. So anything firefighting, anything force related, and recreation actually is recreation. And I like that idea, but like I said, Engage doesn't come up with it. Now, the guy that does the AT work on the Angeles said, "You need a crane." When he said crane is a helicopter. Crane is a big one that you can see to lift things up. They've got a water tank in it. I used to work on them years ago at Fox, where you fill it up. A lot of the times they fill it up at the fire, but anyway. I did load planes, by the way, so I know a little bit about that. I was trying to figure out a way to make couplings on there, but all in due time. And me making my goofy planes, but I did paint my Forest Service rigs from red to green, and I did make the dozer tractor green. I left the trailer red because I figured it was okay. The dozer actually, that's red. It's kind of a county thing, but the dozer that the Forest Service had was yellow. It's the standard cat yellow. They just have numbers on it. So, but I can't. It's hard for me to write something that small. That's the only downfall about Engage. You try to do something that where you're gonna, it's small. So I'm trying to figure out how to make signs and stuff, and that's not gonna happen. But yeah. So first thing I gotta tell people, and I'm gonna write this out. I want to do a step 1, a step 2, a step 3. So far, to do how to build a layout. And I could do small models to show you. The big thing I could tell people, if you got an idea where you want to do it or how you want to do it, doesn't matter whether it's a door or in a room like this or wherever, in your garage, sit down, measure it, and kind of get an idea of what you want to put in it, whether it's HO, NHO, or O gauge. And just realize that the bigger they are, the more room they take up. Okay, so that's the thing. If you get, and then draw it out. Okay, and then consider before you start, actually when you're drawing out. Like my big problem has been a set of trains. If I didn't have to rely on the width or the dimension of the arcs on my corners, I might not be so bad off. But because the bullet train requires a big arc, I only have 4 cars for that bullet train, but when it goes around the corner, they don't turn very well because of the body cowling. You have to allow for that. So that's the other thing. And then the third thing is what's your theme? What's your motif? And you can change that anytime you want because I've done that. All right. So with that note, I'm going to get off because I got to put this on, and I don't want to bore you guys with putting stuff on. Because it's time consuming, and you might be hearing me cuss at myself because I can barely move as it is under there with my hip being the way it is. It still is an issue. So anyway, I appreciate everybody that's come on here, and one of these days I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write down all your names and say thank you, because I really do. I'm going to do a trivia thing on here once and see. So I'm going to throw this at you now. All right, this is for inch gauge people, but if you HO or O gauge or Z gauge people want to answer it, that's fine too. When and where did, three, when, where, and who designed N gauge, how long ago was it, what year was the N gauge designed, who designed it, and where was it designed? That's the assignment for you guys until the next time I come on. Or you can answer it, leave me a message, tell me what it is. Because I don't know, actually. I'm kind of interested. If you guys know, let me know. Because I actually was thinking about doing history and all this, and HO and the Lionel. The Lionel, everybody knows about. It's been out forever, right? So that's the queen or the king of the train world, in my opinion, is Lionel. You never should give up on that. I actually want to add to that. That Lionel has, out of all the train things, they have such unique stuff that it's ridiculous. The new and the old. And it doesn't have to be this old guy, people like me wanting to be in trains. It could be the young guys. But it's up to you to get people started in it. I try my best on here. I try my best with my friends' kids. There's too many things to do. Okay, kids nowadays got HDAD. Well, they call that to me too. It's all this, they got to do this, you got to do that. You got to play baseball. You got to do rocks. You got to do electronics. You got to do soccer. You know, you got to. And none of them stay very long. So anyway, I want to thank you all again. Have a great week. God bless you guys. I'll be on when I can. I don't know when. I got to figure out YouTube how to let you guys know ahead of time too. So God bless. Have a great week.